I cannot stand. It's a sore loser.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week I checked out The Black Hole, and this 1979 film was directed by Gary Nelson and stars Anthony Perkins, Robert Forster, and Maximilian Schell, among others, of course. So what is the story of The Black Hole? Well, it is about this spaceship, and they are going around the galaxy looking for new worlds, but they do find a black hole. And around the black hole, there is kind of like this older derelict ship, but it is like stationary. So it's actually kind of reached equilibrium in its gravity field, I guess, with the black hole. And so they go to investigate, and they find this doctor on the derelict ship, and he's there, he's running the whole thing. He's got tons of robots around, and all the robots are kind of doing strange things, and the good guys, they have robots too, so the robot looks to investigate the other robots, and of course they're trying to figure out what is the deal with this the scientist doctor. And he says, oh, I found cold fusion or something like that, and yeah, what's happening, what's going on, what's the big mystery? Well, for that you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this movie. Well, with this one, it is a Walt Disney movie, and they kind of came out with this one as their response to the Star Wars films being such blockbusters. They thought they'd try to make their own blockbuster, a sci-fi one, of course, and this is what they came out with. It is not what I expected from a Disney movie going into it. There are kind of more, adult elements, or at least less childish elements, but there are still childish elements as well. It is all kind of this mixture to go into it that I would say makes for a fun movie, certainly. There are elements in it that speak to that Disney aspect to it, like the music. The music is really well done in this one. It's all kind of that Fantasia orchestra music. So it all just kind of adds to what you're seeing. And that, I think, is a great place to start with this one. In addition, they take great care with all the sets and stuff like that. They have this one kind of big control room, and it's really well done. Lots of buttons, lots of stations that people are working at. And there's other rooms that are super cool as well. They have like a robot bar that I thought was an interesting kind of element. And the miniatures for the spaceship are really well done. The big spaceship kind of has this like bridge design with all these different trusses, and I thought that was really cool. And then what they do with the miniatures and how they kind of incorporate that is really cool as well. I thought the other visuals that they do really look cool, like the black hole. The black hole is kind of this swirling blue thing. I know you can't see a black hole, but I thought how they portrayed it was interesting and looked really kind of 70s cool. And what else? The costumes, all of the costumes really work well. They have these robots of clearly just people in costumes, and they look good. And they even have like a few robots that are just, kind of puppets, and they are super cool too. The main one, Vincent, he has a kind of a childish look with these big kind of eyes on him, but everything he does is super cool, and I kind of like his attitude towards people and stuff like that. The coolest robot though is Maximilian, and he's the bad robot. He's got like these claw hands and little laser guns and other appendages as well. So he is super cool. I would say just watch it if you're a sci-fi fan for the design of all these robots. I know Maximilian is kind of a favorite of 70s robots for some people, and I would say there's a reason for that, because he is super cool in design and function. Everything he does is fun, and so the robots certainly work well with this one. I really enjoyed kind of the robot story as well. Like they have a whole kind of storyline just for the little Vincent robot, and he finds a friend, and his friend is kind of a fun design as well. So the robots, the sets, the costumes, the miniatures, it all works to make for a good film, I think. And also the story itself is fun. Like they got lots of kind of side stories going on that I certainly enjoy. And they kind of make it feel like a Star Wars film where it's, not too serious, but at the same time, there are serious elements. And they have a whole thing, I think I mentioned it before, where the robot goes to the robot bar, and then he gets into like not a fight, but like a duel with another robot over this video game or something. And all of that stuff kind of really works. It's just kind of like a cool aside story that just goes in its own direction. And the other characters, I would say, are, likable enough that you are rooting for them and you want to go along with them. They all have the kind of different personalities and they all work well together, I think, for this story. Let's see, what else can I say? I know it's kind of their reaction to Star Wars, but they do a good job. It feels like a fun story overall. Like I said, there's fun elements, fun characters, fun design for robots, and then the ending and how it all kind of comes together. That third act is quite fun as well. Like, they are running through this spaceship. I won't tell you, what's going on, but stuff is happening around them, and it's fun, certainly. And it's fun. So with this one, I would say if you're a sci-fi fan, it's probably worth your time. I think that brings me to what doesn't work with this one. Well, with this one, I can understand why it didn't become as popular as Star Wars. With this one, it does have a very kind of bottle feel to it where everything is encapsulated inside this one spaceship. So it does kind of have a smaller feel to it, not as grand, though they are, solving some of the mysteries of the universe or whatever. It just feels very small. And then the good guys, like they're this crew of, spacemen or astronauts, and they have a very kind of similar look to other things that you've seen. They have like kind of, I would say like C-Lab outfits or like Star Trek outfits kind of, but more kind of 70s C-Lab type of stuff going on. And so that just kind of seems very bland. Not the robots, like I said, Maximilian's so cool, but just their own outfits aren't striking and nothing kind of stands out as being, particularly unique. After all, with the robots, anyone can make a robot look like anything. So with the people is what you really want to kind of focus on. So there's not really memorable people in this one, or at least outfits or anything like that. I think I mentioned Vincent the robot just looks childish as well, which is very kind of out of tone with the other kind of things that are going on, which is, again, kind of weird. What else can I say? With this one, the ending, like the ultimate ending, the last like 10 minutes or whatever, just doesn't feel like they want it to continue. It feels like they kind of want it to be a single movie by itself, so they've just kind of ended it there, which doesn't work for kind of that big blockbuster that they were probably going for. It just seems like that ending kind of deflates everything that we were told beforehand, and so it's not my favorite ending by any means. The third act is fun, but just the ending itself is kind of one that just takes a hard right turn there and just goes in a completely opposite direction. So it is a flawed movie. It has lots of different flaws in it, but at the same time, like I said, it's more fun than flawed. So do watch it if you can. That's kind of my recommendation there. It's a fun sci-fi movie that if you haven't seen, I think is worth your time. And as for a rating, well, I thought it was pretty fun, so I gotta give it this 6.7. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.